one point, the employees are going to wake up and say, this is not worth it.
Exactly.
And when they wake up and say, this is not worth it, I'm not going to be in here by myself. I want you to know that. When they walk out, I'm going with them.
Today on the Badass Leaders Podcast, we're talking with Edward Bean Morgan Jr., a true entrepreneur who turned a grueling restaurant career into a thriving beekeeping business. He now manages over 100 hives across Atlanta, all while teaching and mentoring the next generation of beekeepers. Okay, if you find yourself thinking, I'm stuck in this job, I'm miserable, but I have no choice, this is the episode for you. You are going to hear about all of the lessons that Ed learned as he was coming up through hospitality, how he grew as a leader, how he found his voice, and how he found the courage to live his best life, jump out into entrepreneurship and what it means for him, and learn a little bit about, goats, chickens, and eggs, which I actually think should be the name of his autobiography story. So when he does, remember I said it here. So stay tuned till the end. He has some amazing wisdom that you're really going to want to absorb and share with those around you. So are you ready? Let's dig in and do it. Thank you for joining me, Angela Gill Nelms, as I sit down each week with industry experts for amazing stories about the challenges of leadership. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends to ensure you don't miss an episode. Now get ready to dive in and get ready to unlock your full badass potential. Edward Bean Morgan. We're going to talk about the bean in it and where that comes in. Welcome to AGN Studios in the Badass Leaders Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm glad you decided to, not teach beekeeping this morning and come have fun with me.
That is true, because I could have had a class this morning.
Okay, we're going to dig into beekeeping, but first let's start about who you are as a human. Okay, so tell us a little bit about who you are, and as Katie listed, what is the current badass job that you have, and what do you do outside of work that you love?
So I am a father of two, married for 30 years, or will celebrate 30 years in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
By the way, I know that he's married to an engineer. A female engineer. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
She is. She's an engineer, mechanical engineer that transferred to HR. But we're not talking about her because she would love that. So I'm from Hampton, Virginia. Went to Virginia State University. Majored in hotel restaurant management. So I've had a pretty good career in the restaurant industry from like 1990 up until about 2022, where I had enough of the restaurant industry. But I met my wife in Charlotte. I didn't really care for it, and we moved to Atlanta after 9 months. My wife and I got married after 9 months of dating.
Really?
Believe it or not.
Okay, so how long after dating? Okay, two questions. How long after dating did you know she was the one? And secondly, how long after dating did you propose to her?
Probably within the first couple of months. I knew she was the one, and I asked her to marry me, but she was like, I'm not moving to Atlanta without a ring. And so I got the ring, and we moved to Atlanta.
Wait, so you were already planning to move to Atlanta? So what was the drive to Atlanta?
Well, because I didn't want to live in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be here for the Olympics.
Oh.
Because the job that I had in Atlanta at the time moved me to Charlotte. I stayed there for about 2 years, and I was like, this is not it. And I'm going back before the Olympics come. But I met her, and I was like, do you want to go with me? And she was like, not without a ring. And I gave her a ring.
So.
But I knew she was the one. I really did.
Right. So I'm just
because I could have just left.
You could have. You could have just been like, "Peace out. I'm going to A-Town."
I'm going back to Atlanta.
So had you lived in Atlanta before? Or?
Oh yeah, I had been in and out of Atlanta since 1990.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and you said, "Hey, I'm going back to Atlanta. The Olympics is there.
I'm not missing it."
Right.
And I'm going.
Yeah, you know what? I missed it. I like grew up here, and I'm thinking so what was it? 96 was the Olympics. I was living in Orlando, Florida in 96. And so I missed it. But all of my family and all of my friends, they all tell these stories about volunteering and what it was like.
Yeah,
and
it was nice. It was very nice. And I have a brick in Centennial Park. We have a brick.
Oh, so how did that work? Because I've been around Centennial Park and I've seen the names on the bricks.
They had an advertisement. You fill it out. I think it was like $25 or $30, something like that. It wasn't anything expensive.
Right.
And I put my wife and our name on it, and we got a brick.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I see them and I wonder, what was the motivation of it and all of this. But so you're a piece of the Olympics. Okay.
Yep.
So you gave her a ring,
I did.
We know the end of the story because you're still married.
Well,
30
we
years
eloped.
Later. You eloped. Where did you go?
We got married in the Justice of the Peace in Charlotte.
Okay.
And my sister-in-law and her kids and her husband were the witness, and we got married.
So what did the rest of the family think?
We just told them we were going to plan a wedding the next year. So we had the actual wedding the following year.
Oh, so you eloped, moved to Atlanta, and then had a family wedding.
Right.
Okay. I love
so we only
story.
celebrate one date.
Okay, which date do you celebrate?
February 12th.
But no. Which date was it? Was it the date you eloped?
Yes.
The original. Okay.
Yes, the original. I'm not celebrating two.
I'm gonna tell your wife. I think he needs two of those. What's the other date?
I don't even remember.
Because it would be perfect if it was like February and then August or September, right? So you have like half your. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
We only celebrate one.
Just saying. Okay, so you did that. So you were in the restaurant industry at that point. What were you doing? Oh, okay, I have a couple of questions because I've always wondered this. What is it that when you're going to school, at what point did you decide you wanted to do hospitality and wanted to major in that? Because I think that's a pretty niche field. And I've actually never thought about asking the people who've done that what it was that inspired them to do that.
So when I was a kid, I was a busboy dishwasher.
Okay.
Right? That was one of the jobs that I got after I was a paper boy.
What kind of restaurant?
I worked at a restaurant called Daryl's.
Okay.
In Hampton, Virginia.
Okay.
And
but I caught that you were a paper boy first.
I was.
And then you did that.
Right. So I've been working all my life.
Yeah.
So what happened, I went to college. My initial major was business administration.
Okay.
And I thought that was pretty generic as time went on. I was like, what am I going to do with that? I had no idea. Right. And so I'm walking through the campus. Somehow I read something about they're starting a new program, hotel restaurant program. I was like, well, why not? Right. I was already in it. And so I transferred to the hotel restaurant department, and then I got a job as a waiter or a room service waiter at the Richmond Marriott.
Okay.
Because it was a small upstart program, right? New department. I didn't think it was going to give me the experience that I needed, right? So once I got a car, I drove to Richmond. It was like a 35-minute drive to work every day.
Yeah.
From Petersburg to Richmond, Virginia. And so I worked there for like 2.5 years. I got a lot of experience. I started off as a room service waiter. Then I became a waiter. And then I worked myself way up to becoming a bartender. So I was a bartender at one point.
Oh, look at this.
And my first job after I graduated from Virginia State University, I got a job at Disney in Orlando as a room service manager at the Grand Floridian Hotel.
Oh, I've been that hotel.
It's nice.
It is really nice. I was really hoping you were going to say you're a character because I was like, let's guess what character you would.
So that was my first job. But I didn't know what else to do. And I was already in the restaurant hospitality business.
What kind of classes do you take when you're in that major?
So we're taking how to calculate food recipes,
Okay.
how to cook, different types of alcohol, different types of food, mainly how to cost out a menu, right?
Oh, okay.
Because that's very important. So you had to also learn how to operate a restaurant. So, and you're doing it from accepting food into the restaurant, how to calculate a recipe, labor, which is the most expensive.
Right.
After the food, the labor cost is definitely one of the major pieces to running a restaurant. Basically, costing everything out.
I think the thing is that we as guests and as people who eat at restaurants have zero clue about the amount of work behind the scenes that go into each of these tasks.
No idea. I mean, because you got to manage people. You got to manage personalities and egos, and I've learned a lot from that time that I graduated to the time that I left the restaurant business. And and it was a time period I really was frustrated with it, but when I look back on it, I learned a lot to where I am today. Right. It taught me how to deal with people and personalities and attitude, and really try to read somebody. Right. And there's certain things I'm like, no, I don't like that. We're not going to get along. Or it's like, oh, that person's pretty sharp. Yeah. Right. So that's one of the things I noticed about you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I was like, that she's pretty. She's on it. So
I will take that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm speaking truthfully. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you can say one thing and I'm like, oh, you just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just depending on what you say, or it could be body language.
I was just going to say that because for me, I think over the years, I've taken a lot about, I just love to get to know humans as humans and reading people. And I try and do it in a way to where I'm trying to not assign a label or a tag or something to them. So I'm always kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt
until. And then there are those times that you and I both experienced where someone says something, and sometimes, like you just said, it's not necessarily the words, but it's the tone of voice, it's the body language, it's
certain things, and I'm like,
yeah, we're not.
And I may not ever say anything to you about it,
right?
And I may give you a second or third chance, and then it's like, yeah, I knew, or you surprised me. Yeah. Every once in a while, I will be surprised.
I do love, I think the thing I love about the times when people surprise me is it helps me remember to try and not judge people too early, right? It kind of allows me to be a little bit more humble about judging people because I've had enough people who've surprised me over, I'm 50, right? That when I see someone and they immediately rub me the wrong way, I now find myself saying, okay, wait, I'm going to pause, give them the benefit of the doubt and give them another shot or whatnot because of that.
I do that.
Right. Yeah.
I do that. And it's not for me to judge. It's just, I guess I have my own issues and I'm on guard.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So sometimes I'm on guard, right? Just depend. It really depends on the environment, right? Where I am. And I find myself now in the bee community in different environments that I've never been in. But there's some environments I have been in, and I'm like, okay, you got to step up.
Oh, right.
Or you got to put somebody at ease, or sometimes I just sit back and blend in and watch and observe. Sometimes, because you can learn that way, right? So sometimes I just sit back. I don't say anything.
I love this. Okay. So now one of the things I selfishly about this podcast, I get to learn about new industries of things and hearing about that. And so you were at Disney and you were learning all of this. What did you do next? Because what year was that you were at Disney? Because the Olympics were 96.
Right. So that was 1989.
Okay.
Right. So let me tell you how I got to Atlanta. So it's my first job out of college. And, we didn't have much money. Right. So I'm barely making it. Right. Because, that was my first salary, and I stayed in the maid's quarters of this guy's house in Windermere. And Windermere is
up like exit 14 maybe or something like that.
Right there by Disney somewhere where I know that's kind of
down in Orlando, Windermere. Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of like the Tiger Woods neighborhood.
Okay.
Right? So, I think. Anyway. Yeah. So I was there for about 9 months. And
were you how is it that, what was that job then? Because you were in somebody's home staying in the maid's quarters, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what was your job in that role?
No, I just paid rent.
Oh, you just paid rent?
That was that's where I lived.
They rented it out.
Yeah. Oh. But it was nicest. It was, I'd never seen anything like it, right?
Yeah.
But it was like 10 or 15 minutes from Disney.
Okay.
So, I worked as the room service manager. So it was my first time interacting with people that speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Not in Virginia, not in Hampton anyway, right? So that was an experience. But you're meeting a lot of wealthy people because it's a very expensive hotel.
Yes.
And you know what? Let me tell you something that was eye-opening for me. People were coming in to the hotel for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, why aren't you at home?
Right.
Right? I'm like, why aren't you at home?
Right.
And we were sold out for days, for like 3 or 4 days. And I had to work. And I'm like, this is unusual because where I come from, you go to grandma's house or you're at mama's house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like the only restaurants open are Chinese restaurants for Thanksgiving or Christmas, right?
Yeah. And I was like, I've never seen anything. So that was my exposure to seeing something different, right? It opened my eyes. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, because these families probably, that is like their family getaway time. And we're all going to Disney. And maybe it's, as some people have a tradition, every year they go to Disney for these particular holidays. So, wow.
Exactly. So that was eye-opening for me. And then right behind that was Christmas. We're booked.
Yeah.
And I got to work. So in the restaurant business, hospitality business, you work every holiday, just about every weekend. When people are enjoying themselves, you're working. In the beginning, it didn't bother me. As time went on and I started to have a family, I had an issue with that.
Yeah. I distinctly remember a point when, because my stepmom owned a restaurant for a period of time. She was a caterer the whole time, like I was growing up. And so I have lots of service experience. And I will say I'm grateful for that because it really helped me learn how to provide amazing service to people from very young. Okay. And so I'm very grateful for that. But then I recall the year that she finally owned a restaurant and we didn't have our family Thanksgiving dinner, which Thanksgiving was my favorite holiday back then. And we would play Scrabble. We would do all these things. And I remember that year, and she was at the restaurant, and we were kind of getting leftovers for her. I was an adult at that point, but I was bitter. I was just like, you're choosing this over us? Yeah, that's hard.
Right. So Michael Jackson came to the hotel one week, and it just, it's some small things. It's like, I guess when you have money, you get what you want.
Right.
And he wanted Evian water in glass bottles.
Okay.
We were selling in plastic.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So I had to go to the Publix down the street to get Evian in glass bottles. And that's what he wanted. And you could not send it up without it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's crazy that you see things at a whole different level. Like we were selling popcorn. This is 1990. I'm the room service manager. Popcorn
Right.
was $12 a bag.
Wow.
Somebody ordered popcorn. It's $12.
Wow.
I never forgot that. That's what money looks like, right? I'm like,
Right? That's 35 years ago.
exactly.
That's insane.
That's the type of hotel it was.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But I wrecked my car on the way to work
Okay.
or coming home one day, and I didn't have money to replace it. So I ended up quitting that job. Right?
Because you live so far away?
Well,
because
that was before Uber.
right. Exactly.
I asked a couple of coworkers, for a ride here and there.
Right.
I could tell it wasn't working out for them, and they were like, you need to find another way.
Right.
And so I quit.
Huh.
I went home for 2 weeks to get myself together.
To Virginia.
Right.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine lived in Atlanta, and got me a room in a dorm, and I moved to Atlanta.
Wow.
But everything worked out.
Which I think that's the moral of so many stories that we have and it's hard as we age because we don't want to minimize the pain and struggles and the stress of the younger generation. And at the same point, we want to offer them some encouragement because how many times I say this to people all the time. I stress a lot less now about things because I remember when I was younger and I would stress about something being perfect or whatnot.
I do the same thing.
Right. And it was never
It'll work out.
the disaster that I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Right.
The world never ended.
So I moved to Atlanta, and I waited tables at the Marquee for maybe 7 or 8 months until I got a job with Red Lobster. And then Red Lobster moved me to Auburn. I worked there for about 9 months. I was like, there's nothing here.
Do you have the biscuit recipe? Asking for a friend?
I don't have the recipe, but they sell it in Kroger. But I know how to make it. And so they moved me back to Atlanta after about 9 months because I was like, I can't live here.
And were you managing at that point?
Yeah, I was a manager at Red Lobster.
Okay.
I was learning. It's Auburn, Alabama in the 90s. It was I learned a few things about Alabama and how people are treated, right?
How was the difference? I mean, just calling out the elephant in the room, how was the difference being a black male at that period of time in Virginia? Now, from my experience, when I lived in Orlando, I didn't think of Orlando as the South at all. It was a tourist city.
It was. I look at it the same way.
Exactly.
It is.
I actually personally think Orlando is, or at least when I was there, was very devoid of its own inherent culture because of that.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, but you were basically, I guess you call it the Northeast, right? Where you grew up, and then you come to the South in Alabama, and people look at people differently in those areas in that time period.
But Virginia's the South.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, it is considered
people
South.
always want to say it, but Virginia's the South.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Fair enough.
So where I'm from, Hampton is on the coast of Virginia.
Okay.
It's pretty diverse.
Okay.
Right? I never really had any issues growing up. I mean, kids fighting here and there, right? But nothing major. But I wasn't in that environment where I had to really respond to anything.
Right.
But when I moved to Alabama, it was a different story.
Yes.
Right? It's funny because now when I think back on it, when I heard certain things, I didn't know how to respond. You have to remember, I was new to management. I didn't know what to say.
Right.
Right? I know what to say now. But I didn't know what to say, and so I just said, okay, I heard you. I heard what you said. Right? Now I know I'm definitely putting you in this category.
Right.
And you got to think that's like 1991.
Okay.
It's totally different today, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I just had to deal with it because I was the only black manager there.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm in Auburn. And so, and I had no mentor. So I had to find my way. I had to find my way in management. I mean, they taught me some things, but I had to find my way to gain my voice. Right.
Did you ever have a mentor in your previous things, like in Disney, did you ever have like? And we talk a lot about this at Georgia Tech and why we believe so much in diversity and trying to bring in people from all different places. Is that we want the students to see someone that looks like them excelling in things, because when you can see that, the path towards realizing that is so much easier. But if you have to blaze your own path, it's so much harder.
I had to, right? Yeah. So I just dealt with it. I didn't make a big stink about it. I just dealt with it. So they moved me back to Atlanta. Now, Atlanta's, you can do anything in Atlanta.
You know what they say? So Atlanta is a minority city. Means the majority of the population fall into the minority populations within. And a lot of people don't realize that. Well, I think a lot of people, it's so funny when I was in California and the stereotypes they had of Atlanta. They were like, one of my friends who's Indian and he was coming out here, he was just like, will there be any people like me out there? I'm like, in Atlanta? You can find people from all walks of life, which is one of the things that I love about Atlanta is that you can find your tribe, right?
Exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
But you can't necessarily find that everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been all over because of my hospitality experience. Right. So I come back to Atlanta, then I'm working in Red Lobster because Red Lobster had several locations throughout Metro Atlanta during the time. All the managers were Black. So now I'm getting mentored, right?
Yeah.
Not like this is what we got to do. They were just showing me the right way to do things, right? It was nothing very specific, like we're going to sit down. It was just, this is how it's done, right? And so I gained a lot of experience from that, right? A lot of confidence.
So do you feel like like the amount you grew during that period of time versus when you were in the other spaces was significantly different?
It was totally different, right? But there was still a power struggle as I got to see things. And if I can be honest, I can tell you what I saw.
Yeah.
Because you got to think Red Lobster is going under a change now. Right. You've seen they got a new CEO. Right. So the district manager was a white guy. All the managers were Black. And he was really hard when I look back now. Right. And I'm like, But I used to see certain things.
Right.
And I was like, there's something just not right here. Right. So then I go to the Red Lobster on Terra Boulevard, which was the #1 Red Lobster in the country.
I did not know. That's like down in my neck of the woods because I grew up in Griffin.
So let me tell you why that was the #1 in the 90s. Why? Because right now there's a lot of growth down there. Yeah. In the 90s, there was no growth. That Red Lobster brought everybody from the South to that Red Lobster.
Because there weren't that many options.
There weren't. So guess what? People, and I couldn't understand it. People would wait for 2 and 3 hours for Red Lobster.
First off, I could walk in and they tell me 30 minutes. I'm peace out.
Today, if I have to wait over 30 minutes, I'm gone.
Exactly.
Because there's too many options. But during that time, there were no options, right? So, I mean, I was here. So I know we were the #1 Red Lobster in the country. Wow. Like 2 or 3 years in a row. The general manager got a gold Rolex because when he went to the general manager's convention, he got all these awards. So we made a little money, but he was different. He said some things, and I was like, "Ooh, you said that to us, right?"
Yeah.
And so I didn't make us think about it, but I noted it in my head, right? Where I've never forgotten about it. If I saw him today, I would give him a few words.
Yeah.
Right? I remember what you said, right? So fast forward, I ended up finding another company called Sodexo.
Okay, but I want to pause for a second because I want to ask a question dealing with that. Because as a female growing up in leadership in the time frame that I was, I have the distinct memory of this one female who was my manager, who she had the personality that there were only so many female seats at the table. And so if she saw someone coming up and excelling, she was going to hold them back every way that it was just, and women over decades have been so horrible to other women by trying to hold them back because they think there are only so many slots. Did you feel that way in that instance with like him being a phenomenal manager that maybe, and I'm just curious, like, were there any feelings where some of them might have felt as if their role was threatened by other brilliant people that looked like them that were coming up after them?
I don't think it was. So I was just a manager at the time. I'm like the lowest manager on the totem pole. So I didn't feel that I was threatening his job. I think it was just, you guys are the manager and you work under me and you're going to do what I tell you to do. And that's it.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
But he was also the guy that could tell the district manager, this manager's ready.
Oh,
right?
I see.
And so there wasn't a lot of promotions for black managers. They were kind of, as you talking to the other managers, everybody's like right here, and this is it. This is all you. This is all you. This is as far as you're going. Right.
Got it. Okay.
So I could see that, right? Or I saw parts of it, right? But before I fast forward, I ended up quitting Red Lobster. I've been there for maybe 4 or 5, maybe 4 years. Maybe 3, about 3 years, somewhere around there. And they sent me to different locations because someone would get terminated or they transfer you. But I made one big mistake I thought was devastating. I miscounted some gift certificates. This is how long ago. They don't sell gift certificates, right?
Right.
So I miscounted some gift certificates, and I thought it was, and I'm talking about like, it was probably worth maybe $1,000.
But
somehow.
At that time, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, right. But I gave, so some company, they came in and bought, I don't remember exactly how many they bought, but I miscounted them.
Okay.
It was actually my mistake.
Okay.
It was about $1,000. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like, they're going to terminate me.
I'm going to get fired. My ass is going to be out on the street.
And so I quit.
Ah, interesting.
Right? But it's the 90s. You can get another restaurant job like that. Right. So I get my resume together, and I ended up getting a better job at another restaurant you may not be familiar with called Checkers Bar and Grill. It was off of Ashford Dunwoody. You know where the State Farm is now?
Yes. Yeah.
That wasn't even there.
I actually think I know where Checkers Bar and Grill is.
So I worked there as a manager. I worked there for maybe about a year. Then they transferred me to Charlotte. So that's how I got to Charlotte. Came back to Atlanta. And then I ended up finding a company called Sodexo.
Okay.
Sodexo takes care of the food. They manage the food service at Georgia Tech.
Ah, look at that. Little tie in there.
So I ended up, it was eye-opening for me. And it changed my life because I'm in food service where I don't have to work every weekend, every night, every holiday. So I was the catering manager for Bank of America on the 50th floor. So I'm in there with the executives.
No,
okay, I like this.
I like that, yeah.
And it's Monday through Friday. So, fast forward, I worked at Bank of America. I worked at Georgia Pacific. And then because I was doing a great job, some people saw me, right? I get promoted to general manager of the Weather Channel. So the Weather Channel, a lot of people don't know, Weather Channel is based in Atlanta. And they had food service. So I opened that facility. Did a great job. And then Sodexo, they had a lot of accounts in Metro Atlanta prior to 9/11. So I worked in a lot of different facilities, Bank of America, Georgia Pacific, Singular Wireless, Weather Channel. I had like an area general manager role for a while. But here's what happened. Again, things show up for certain reasons that you don't know about.
Yes, yes.
When I got hired, they were going through a class action lawsuit.
Oh.
Yeah. So they didn't have enough minorities. So I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Oh.
Imagine that.
Wow.
Right?
Interesting.
But I did my job.
Right.
I was productive. I got, I won awards for best sales and things like that. But come to find out, they had a class action lawsuit, and the people that brought the class action lawsuit won millions of dollars. And guess what? Because I came in on the tail end, I get a check
that you weren't expecting to get.
I didn't know.
Right.
Right. So I get like a $13,000, $14,000 check.
Man, I would like to get a 13, 14. And this was at what year?
It's like 90, maybe 2000.
Yeah, but
around.
that's like over $20,000 now.
Yeah.
I would like to see that in my mailbox.
Got a lot more, but I'm on the tail end. I'm not a plaintiff.
Right.
I'm coming in.
Scooped in.
I got scooped in.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. And so they really had to, but I saw the company change to diversity, equity, inclusion. And they started to have network groups. And the African American network group was the first one. And then by the time I left, they had like 20 of them, right? For all groups. And I asked around today, I'm like, does that still exist under this environment?
Under this environment, right? Probably not.
I don't know.
My guess is they had to rename it into other things.
They maybe did.
And I would say this because just in this environment, the people that are so negative about diversity, equity, and inclusion and I think some of the people in society hate it if they think that two people are of equal quality and you're going to, or someone is of lesser quality or experience, but we're going to hire them instead in order to meet a quota kind of instances. And I think what the reality is that people forget, yes, that happened in places for sure. But people forget the number of people who are minorities in instances that never got a fair shot to be able to be where they could be because they were judged by all of these things that were so unfair.
There were many things, right? I mean, I'm telling you, I've been in so many scenarios, but I guess I could say it made me a better person because I can deal with anything now, right? I hit you head on, right? But in the past, in the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know what to say, right? So, but Sodexo was a very good company. It pushed me because it's a worldwide company, and they don't have time to micromanage. So you get promoted to a district manager. You're the manager, and you need to run it.
Do the shit, basically.
Whatever needs to be done,
do it.
It's your responsibility, right?
I love that. Yeah.
And because I took that ownership on, I was successful because I was like, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do what I was taught, do the right thing. You got to bring some integrity. You got to be honest. You got to treat employees with respect. So I brought that and it worked. And that's why as time went on, I got promoted, right? But then I ended up leaving the company. Now check this out. And I know we don't want to talk about all these companies, but it's
no, this is fascinating.
Each one I learned something about, right? So when I worked for Sodexo, it was your job to make it happen every month, no matter what.
You were basically empowered to, because no one was going to do it.
That was the big thing they talk about. You're empowered to do whatever it needs to take to make that client happy, right? In fact, one of the books I used to push was Clients for Life.
Oh,
right, because we were contractors for, let's say, Bank of America. Bank of America downtown at the time had a kitchen. I mean, they had a full-fledged restaurant, but they contracted it out to Sodexo.
Okay.
Right.
Or
like Georgia Tech. Right.
Yeah.
So we're empowered to do whatever. So at the time, I'm working for Sodexo. We moved to California, the Bay Area, for a while. Then I transitioned from corporate services to retirement communities. And then we stayed there for about 4 years. Then we moved from California to Delaware. My wife got a promotion twice. So we went from Atlanta to California to Delaware. So I knew I was going to work in either Baltimore or Philadelphia. So I ended up working at a hospital in Philadelphia. And again, and these are all, it's still food service, but it's a different environment. So you got to learn new things, right? So in the retirement community, you're dealing with the elderly, the last quarter of their life, right? Mm-hmm. So you gotta learn new things about food, like honey thick and nectar thick, and food that's not as salty, right? Things are at a slower pace, right. In the restaurant, but everything was fast paced. But now you got to slow it down, right? Because this is who you're dealing with,
right?
And also you're providing catering for things that they're doing throughout the day. Moved to hospitals, now it's more nutrition, right? But I said all that to say, so and I was successful in each situation, but there were times you're dealing with different people. So let me take a step back. So I moved to California.
Right.
Now I'm in an environment where I'm dealing with Hispanic or Latino people. Haitians, never had an interaction with, right? Guatemala, Venezuela.
What city were you in California?
In the Redwoods.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the other side of the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
So whole different community. Never had interaction with.
I mean, because let's consider the community. You grew up in Virginia. Mm-hmm. You know, you're in Orlando. You're in Auburn, Alabama. Then, you know, you're up in, like, not Philadelphia yet, but California. Like, all of these have their own distinct cultures and communities.
They do. And you have to adapt.
Exactly.
Right? So I got along great with some people, most people in California, right? No issues. Moved to Philadelphia. That's a whole nother world. And I always tell people, I didn't see the brotherly love in Philly. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about that another day. But one thing that I learned in management, so I've been with Sodexo for a good little while. So, but I didn't like Philadelphia. So I was like, I got to find a way out. So before you can apply for another job, you have to work there for a year. So I did my time. Mm-hmm. I went on the site. I applied for a job. I didn't ask anybody because at that point I knew I don't have to ask you I just apply.
This is my life.
Right. So I applied for the job as a general manager in Delaware, and I get it. And so I turned in my notice, and the manager, she wasn't even the general manager. She was like a layer in between me and the general manager. I didn't say you can apply. Whoa, hold it. Now this is the older Edward,
right?
The more experienced Edward. I never had to ask you.
Right. The one who now knows that you have a voice.
Right. Oh, we get into this heated argument, right? I was like, I don't have to ask you anything. I've been a general manager before. I applied for the job. I got the job. Here's my notice. And I mean, we went at it.
Wow.
And so the district manager, he was a resident DM. His office is next door. It's like his office is there, mine is here, hers is right here. Mm-hmm. And we're going at it. He's like, Edward, you need to go upstairs. So I go upstairs. I'm thinking they're gonna come up in about 20 minutes. It takes an hour for them to come up. And when he came back, he was like, you're absolutely right. You can apply for any job you want, and you got it. We're gonna honor your 2-week notice. And that was it. But it was
so strange.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. It was the people in that building. Again, I'm one of 2 black managers. Everybody else is white, right? All the hourly employees are black, and you're gonna do as I say.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like these different places sometimes have inherent unwritten rules that you're expected to just figure out and follow, and people just fall in line.
And they do.
They do.
Right? But because now I'm experienced. I've gone to all
But your
these...
younger self, what would your younger self have done? I don't know.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Right?
So all the young leaders, when you're hearing this, remember, get your voice.
Yeah, you have to find it, right?
Yeah,
you have to find it. And by that time I found it, right? I mean, I had several incidents throughout the years, but I found it because I was like, I don't have to take what you say.
This makes me so happy. Yeah.
Right?
I'm just like, I just cannot find the appropriate words to express how proud I am when I hear people that someone comes to them and says, you had to ask for, and they're like, wait, I don't have to ask for your permission to be my best self. Like,
right.
No, absolutely not. That makes me so happy.
Right. Well, but because I had applied for jobs before, because the company's worldwide, if you have the skill set and the knowledge, right, and you apply and you get the job, you don't have to ask anything. The only requirement was you had to stay in your current job for 1 year.
Right.
After that, you can apply for it. You got to understand this company is worldwide. You can apply for a job in France if you speak French, right? Or, and people do. People go, you got to understand, at the time, there were 7 business units. There's probably more. I mean, they feed all the Marines in the world. So you got a military unit, you got a government unit, you got hospitals, you got K through 12. You can apply for any job. And it's not, I was just applying for unit level, but you got district level, you got corporate office level. You can apply for any job if you are skilled enough.
Right.
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 So she wanted me to stay. I didn't have to ask you. And that was my thing. I didn't have to ask you one thing. And we don't have that relationship where I wanted to come and tell you.
Yeah, I think that's another piece too, right? Because I've worked with managers before and wanted to apply for something else, but I had a good relationship with that manager and I trusted that manager and I knew that person wanted me to be my best self. And I've gone to them and said, hey, I'm interested in this position.
Right.
I'm going to apply for it. And really I've asked because I've also wanted to know, is there any red flags about the position or about anything in that, right? And will you support me in that? Now, and those people never held me back. But I've also had managers where I didn't have a relationship with them. It doesn't necessarily mean I was against them or something like that. Right. And if I didn't, then I definitely wouldn't go and ask for a mentoring type advice or definitely not approval.
You know, it's funny you say that because there was one manager when I was in California. I'm going from corporate services into senior living. And, it was a transition because I had to learn the language and how they operate. But I ended up being successful. And her name is Sue Delez. And I used every once in a while I would say, you never come to see me. She's like, Edward, you're doing great. There's some people out here that don't know what they're doing. I got to spend my time on them.
Exactly.
I don't have to worry about you. The client is taken care of. Every time I come in, the place is clean. The food is great. You're making money. Because you know what it all really boils down to? The money. I was putting the money on the bottom line. Right? A couple times I was putting enough money where I carried the area. Right?
Yep.
I don't need to talk to you. She left me alone. Right? So that's one of those things I learned as time. If you're doing your job and people are being fair, they'll let you do whatever.
Yes.
But then you go to a whole nother environment and it's like, this is all you're going to do. No, this is not all I'm going to do.
Right.
You just, you don't see me. Right. And I recognize that you don't see me. Right. So I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Which is important, right? Because I cringe when people stay in those roles for too long. And then on the weekend, they're out with their friends bitching about their job all day long. And that is my biggest pet peeve because I just think, look, life is way too short. If you're going to be bitching about your job right now and you're not doing something to get another job, that's on you.
And I say that all the time.
Right?
That's on you. You don't see that you can do something better. I walk into restaurants all the time and I'm like, you don't see that they're working you to death. You don't see that, but you're caught in the
You're caught.
matrix.
You feel like you don't have a choice.
You think you don't have a choice. You have a choice.
Exactly. Amen.
I'm like,
absolutely.
do you not see this?
Yes, you have a choice.
You don't have to work in this restaurant. There's other things out here, and people don't see it. I'm gonna give you another thing real quick. A friend of mine has his undergraduate from a very prestigious university. He has 2 master's degrees from 2 prestigious universities. So he's had high-powered jobs making great money, right? And he's been laid off several times, right? So I said to him one time, I said, why don't you work for yourself? He was like, I don't know what I would do. My sister had recently gone through a divorce around the same time I'm talking to him, and she's trying to figure it out. And I said, why don't you move to our family property and do what you used to do? She was like, I don't know what I would do. I'm like, just do what you would. So my thing is, how does a high school graduate have the same answer, or the college guy that has these 2 master's degrees that worked in high-powered jobs have the same answer as my sister with a high school education? And I'm like, you don't see that you can do it for yourself? You did it for corporate America all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I see that. I'm like, you just don't see the big picture.
Yeah.
Now, let me say, as an entrepreneur myself, it's not for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, you worked in corporate America in several high-powered positions, but you gave me the same answer as my sister. I don't know what I would do.
What do you think is at the heart of that?
Because people put all their energy into it, and that's all they know.
It's
and
like their identity is in that, and they haven't created their own identity.
And that's what I believe, right?
Yeah.
Or they have no other skill set. They think corporate America is it. And what I've learned over time, that's not it.
Right.
Right. You gotta, what I do now is I work for myself on my terms.
Yep.
Right. Literally on my terms. I work from home, but I've expanded it out because I network with people. Right. Yep. I started learning new things. I broadened
You're creative and scrappy.
A little. I am.
You are creative and scrappy.
Right. So people are like, when I first started, people were like, what are you doing?
Including your wife, by the way.
Including my wife, right? But let me tell you what I realized about the whole wife thing when I quit my job, because I quit my job. Because I had
But let's tell people like what led to that for
you. Okay.
Because you put up with a lot of shit before you quit your job and were just like, peace out.
I did. So we ended up coming back to Atlanta, right? So I ended up working with another company in senior living, a small company. I'm not gonna mention the name. Small company, but I knew, you got to think. Now I have experience. Right. I know what good looks like.
Right.
So
yes.
I'm working for them. I was working for maybe a year before COVID.
Which I just want to double click on that. I think a lot of the struggle or like the challenges people have is, and when I see people who are underperforming at stuff, I often wonder, do you not know what good looks like? Because once you know what good looks like, you cannot accept anything less than that.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. And so because I worked with Sodexo, right, because it was a class action lawsuit, and I still learned a lot because they pushed me to do different things. I was successful in what I did, right? Even dealing with the stuff, because I just looked at it as part of it. But you got to deal with it, right? So I ended up working for the small company a year before COVID. I was like, okay, I'll just deal with it for right now. And then we go into COVID, and they never sent the email telling us what we should be doing to protect the employees. Oh. Never.
Wow.
At Sodexo, I guarantee you an email went out 3 to 4 times a week. Do this, do this. They never sent anything, right? Never.
Wow.
in the beginning stages, in the beginning, we were running out of tomatoes and lettuce.
And this, by way, is not Sodexo. This is the company that shall not be named.
Correct.
That's what we're going to call
Correct.
it.
Yeah, we're not talking about Sodexo.
Yes.
So
you ran out of tomatoes.
So we're running out of tomatoes, right? And we run out of lettuce, but they don't tell us what the protocol is to get it.
Right.
So there's a restaurant depot down the street. I just run down there and get it, right?
Makes sense.
So then the nurses, we're in COVID, then the nurses get a raise. Food service doesn't. Right?
Wow.
And I'm like, we're exposed to the patients too. So the nurses are in the rooms.
Right.
We have to take the tray in the room. The employees have to take the tray in the room. They have to remove the tray after they've eaten. Now COVID is on the
utensils and the cups and the plates and all that.
We're exposed.
Right.
But I'm also looking at it from the standpoint, you're not telling us what the proper protocol is. In the beginning, you don't even give us gloves or we had gloves. You don't even give us a mask. My wife had to make my mask.
Oh, wow.
During COVID.
Wow.
Right? You don't give us any of that. I write the president of the company a letter. And I said, hey, I just want you to know. One day, I said, well, first thing I said, the nurses got a raise. Food service didn't. It's not right.
Right.
We're running out of tomatoes, lettuce. There's no protocol to deal with this, but I can run down to Restaurant Depot and buy it. But where's plan B?
Right.
Right? You're leaving it for us to figure out.
Right. Right.
Okay. And I was pissed about that, right? And then with a couple other things, I can't think of it right now, but that was the main thing, right? You didn't give us a raise. So he sends the corporate letter. Oh, this is a business decision. Blah, all the blah blah blah. I read through it. I'm like, okay. Oh, I know what I said. I said at one point the employees are going to wake up and say this is not worth it.
Exactly.
And when they wake up and say this is not worth it, I'm not going to be in here by myself.
Yep.
I want you to know that. When they walk out, I'm going with them. And you're going to be left. And now you got people, they don't have food because there's nobody to do it. So that was then he gives me the corporate response. So here's what happens. 3 weeks later, the employees get a $3 raise. Managers don't get anything. Okay.
And you guys were on salary, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I deal with it. So we come out of COVID. Oh no. So 3 weeks they get a raise and they keep the raise for about 3 months. And when they sent the raise, they never sent the letter that employees got a raise. They just give them a $3 raise.
Oh,
unannounced.
For the love of all things.
Unannounced.
Which is such a missed leadership opportunity to say, thank you for the sacrifices that you're making.
Unannounced.
As a part of this, during this period when you're at high risk, we're going to increase your competence. What a missed opportunity to show appreciation.
Remember, I know what good looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
About 3 or 4 months later, they take it away. Unannounced.
Wow.
I said, oh, you guys don't care about anybody.
Yeah.
You don't care about anything. So we're coming out of COVID. And it's hard to find employees because nobody wants to work now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So keep in mind, I'm the general manager. So when the cook calls out, I'm the cook. So when the dishwasher calls out,
you're the dishwasher.
I'm the dishwasher. Right. I still have my management duty to do. Right? I ended up working 1 week. I worked 90 hours in 1 week. 90 hours. Keep in mind, I still have a small bee business over here because I'm not making the money I want to make with you. I got the small bee business going on over here. I can't do any of that because I don't have time to do it.
Right, but you're only getting paid 40 hours.
I only get paid 40.
Yeah. I think that's what people don't understand about people that work these roles.
That's right.
It's not that you're working 90 hours and getting paid for 90 hours. It's you're working 90 hours because that's what is required for the position to be successful, given all of these horrible constraints that you've had.
Right.
You're only being compensated for the equivalent of someone who's working 40 hours and actually has the resources to be successful in the situation.
Exactly. The second week, I worked 80 hours. So in a 2-week period, I gave you 90 hours of free labor.
Yeah.
90 hours of free labor. And you know what you say at the end of that? Great job, Ed. You're doing a great job. I don't get a bonus. I don't get a gift card. All I get is
You don't get a gold Rolex.
I don't get any of that. But because now I'm older, I'm mature. I know, you know where the money would for the 90 hours went? To their bottom line.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So they got, for all the employees that called out, didn't work, they didn't pay them.
Right.
And I'm doing the work because you only pay me for 40 hours.
Right.
So all the money goes to their bottom line. That's all you say to me.
Right. Yeah.
And you barely say that. So as I've learned over the years, don't come to the table with complaints. What's the solution? So I pulled the district manager and the administrator in the office. I said, look, I work these hours. Here's what you should do. You should put a sign out front saying we're hiring. District manager, you need to hire a chef. Let him manage the kitchen.
Right.
Let me manage everything else until we get fully staffed. When I left there, because I'm reading you, right?
Right, yeah.
You didn't take me seriously.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got something for that. I went home and I crunched some numbers. At the time, I had 6 goats, 100 chickens, and I had a few beehives.
How many were these all at the house where you're at now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I had maybe 10 beehives.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
And I was like, well, if I expand the bees and I do this with the goats, I was going to rent the goats out to eat the kudzu, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a business.
Yes.
Right? At the time I was selling chicken eggs.
We have sheep over here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Right?
We used to have goats, but the goats kept escaping.
I know.
So we
That's
only
an
have
issue.
sheep. That's an issue.
That's why I don't have goats now.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm like, I was selling chicken eggs $7 a dozen.
Yeah.
I had at least 50 people in my phone that I could text and say, I got 10 dozen eggs, and whoever responded got them. But
Asking for a friend, you don't sell chicken eggs anymore, right?
no.
I was about to say, I've been coming there how long? And
I had 100
eggs?
chickens.
Okay.
And so it was a business. And I was like,
I'm
well,
just
if
saying I buy chicken eggs, but
yeah,
whatever.
I don't do it. So, but at the time it was chickens, goats, and bees. And I was like, I'm done. And I made some very conservative numbers. I wrote down very conservative
I feel like
numbers.
that could be a name of a book: Chicken, Goats, and Bees. How Ed Morgan
Right? Exactly.
said, "Screw you
So-
to corporate America."
So here's the thing. We got a mortgage. My wife had been laid off a month prior. I got 2 kids in college. We got bills coming in. And I was like, I'm not going back to work. So I tossed and turned all night. I went back to work. I crunched some more numbers to make sure the numbers were right. And I gave them my notice. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to do bees, goats, and chickens. Right? So
I'm telling you, this is your life story. I said it now, so when it's
I'm
on
telling
the book,
you.
I want credit for that title. That is amazing.
Bees, goats, and chickens. And I come home and tell my wife, and she was livid. What? You're going to do what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Now, she was hot because she's concerned how we're going to pay for the insurance, the medical insurance, right? How we're going to pay the bills.
Right.
She's unemployed, right?
And you have kids in college.
And we got kids
we
in
know as
college.
being parents, the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is tell your kids, I can't pay your college bill, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I was like, I don't care. I'm not going back to that job.
Right.
Are you not concerned about my health? I just worked 90 hours for free. For free.
Right.
And they don't care. And they've shown me they don't care. And then when you divide the number of hours, I'm like, man, I'm not making any money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I mean,
work-
that's the key too.
Right.
Is you do the math and you're
You
like,
do the math, you're
"Right,
like, what?
I'm just getting another 100 chickens.
Exactly. Because I can do the math.
Right.
Right? So I said, I'm done. And I stood on it. And I told her, I was like, I'll just walk in the doghouse every day. I don't care. I'm not going back to that job. But,
How comfortable is the couch to sleep on?
I wasn't on there very long, right? But here's what happened. So I told her, I said, let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to cover everything, right? I'm not even worried about it. Everything is going to get covered with the bees and the ghosts and the chickens. And I'm determined to make it happen because you know what you're never going to tell me? I told you so. You are never going to say those words to me. But it shouldn't be that way. That's what it is. Because I know if I fail, that's what I will hear. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to allow you to say it. And I've been busy ever since.
You've been busy as a bee.
I've been busy as a bee.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into beekeeping to begin with?
Well, that's another story. But so when we moved around, so we lived in Atlanta for 12 years before we moved to California, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, so we moved to California and the homes are pretty close to each other after living on 10 acres, right? And so then I said, if I ever get back, I'm going to do some farming. Mm-hmm. And we ended up moving back. And I read something that said, if you want a successful farm, you should have bees. Yeah. So I go on Craigslist and there's a guy selling bees out of his backyard. I call him up. Craigslist now. So I call him up and I say, hey, I want to come check out your bees. He was like, okay. I go over there and he has like 30 or 40 hives in his backyard and some nuke boxes. And he goes in it, no veil. And I'm looking at him like, oh, you're crazy. So he goes in there and then he hands me the frames or a frame of bees. And
How much was your hand shaking?
I was like this. I mean, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Because I had never done anything like that. I got a frame full of bees in my hand, no veil. I was like, oh, this is crazy.
And a frame full of bees is probably, what, 7,000 bees or something
like that?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, full frame.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about bees. Just something.
You're just like, don't drop it. Don't drop it.
Yeah, definitely. Right? So I bought the bees and put them in the backyard. Just put them in the backyard because I was going to till the land and I was going to plant some fruits and vegetables and sell them as.
And you were going to let these be your pollinators of choice.
Right? That was going to be the thing. And so we have an Airbnb in Charlotte, and when we moved around, we turned the house into an Airbnb. So at the time, we had 2 Airbnbs. In Atlanta, there was a network group for best practices in Airbnb. So I ended up joining it. It just somehow appeared on, things just appear for me.
Exactly.
Right? So it just comes to me.
Serendipity.
And so the lady that founded the group, we became really good friends because I see she needed help. So I was like, here, let me help you. Right? So we became very good friends. I call her one day and she's like, I said, hey, I just bought some bees. And she's like, oh, you need to do this new thing called Airbnb experiences. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't even know anything about bees. Right? For an entire month, this lady, her name is Deborah Santos, said, you need to do this. So she called me the Sunday of the last day of the application process and said, today's the last day. I said, I'm going to fill the application out. To shut your mouth. So you'll leave me alone because I only have one wife. I don't need another woman telling me what to do. Right? Yeah. We laughed about that. I said a few other choice words, but we laughed about it. So I actually filled it out. Sunday night, I woke up Monday morning. I was approved on a worldwide platform to talk about bees.
And you had one beehive.
I had
that you
one
knew
beehive.
Nothing about. I love this story so much because it's like you have to start from somewhere. And sometimes you just jump in and figure stuff out.
And that's what I did. So I went on YouTube. I went to the local library and checked out some books. And I started reading about it. And then like 2 weeks later, somebody booked it. And I'm like, oh. And at the time, it was $25 a person. So I went on Amazon and bought some bee suits.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You got to have the bee suit for the gas, for sure.
Right. So I bought all the same size bee suits.
Yeah.
And bought the smoker and some items, some bee equipment. Because you can buy anything on Amazon, right?
Absolutely.
They sell everything.
Delivered next day.
Because I didn't even know where to buy it.
Right.
2 weeks later, they come and I do it, the best I could. If I could find the queen, right? whatever I learned on YouTube in the book, this is what I'm going to explain.
Right.
And it takes off.
Yeah.
Right. So the first 9 months, I'm self-taught between YouTube, books, and just getting in there and figuring it out. Right. And then all of a sudden, again, through Facebook or something, there's a bee club. Oh, let me go check this out. And I go. And I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I needed to take my business or, the Airbnb experience to the next level. Because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
So I'm in there, and I'm just going to be honest with you, it's just a bunch of old white people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think Clarissa was there. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to learn. And I went to every meeting, and I was absorbing everything because I got a business over here you guys know nothing about, right? Until one day, because Julia was the first person that walked up to me. It's like, hey, welcome. What do you do? And I tell her, but I didn't want to tell her about the Airbnb because I didn't know. I'm like, these people can take my little business.
Right, exactly. And you have kids in college and bills to pay.
Right.
And a wife
but keep in mind, I hadn't quit my job at that point.
Oh, okay, yes.
Right.
Oh,
this is the beginning. This is how I got into it.
Okay.
Right. I'm like, I'm just trying to make a few extra dollars. Right. So I'm like, I didn't want to tell her, but so I ended up telling her. And then the next meeting, she's like, yeah, Ed's doing Airbnb. And I'm like, I didn't tell you to say that. It didn't matter because they didn't know what it was. Right. Yeah. And then as time went on, I found out there's enough business for everybody. Right.
But that also, in order to be successful with that, you have to have a certain type of personality as well. Mm-hmm. And just like any hobby, you have your unique people in every hobby, and not everyone is meant. I mean, you spent your whole life in hospitality, so you knew how to do those pieces of it, which played really well into what you moved into.
And that's what I realized down the road, right? I'm bringing all that experience, right? So I went to every meeting. I was learning as much as I could. And then I found out there's certifications. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get certified. So I get the certification as a certified beekeeper. So now the price goes from $25 a person to $50. I'm certified.
Right.
Right? So, and this thing takes off. So if you pull Airbnb experiences up in Atlanta, and I have dates on, I'm one of the top experiences in Metro Atlanta, right? Because what I do is I take people into a beehive, put a suit on. I'm going to show you the queen. I'm going to explain to you the relationship between humans and bees. We go back thousands of years. We taste honey. Everybody wants to take pictures. Every once in a while, over the years, a swarm will take place while they're sitting there, right? Most people, everybody's terrified of bees, but I put them at ease. When I've had the swarms, I had a 70-year-old lady put her hand in there, right?
I think a swarm in the situation is the greatest gift because they're so calm during that, and you can really get them to overcome that fear.
And not only that, I'm like, come on and walk. There's thousands of bees flying. I'm like, come on over here. No suit on.
Right.
The bees don't want you. They're trying to figure out where they're going.
Exactly.
But I want you to experience it. People are blown away by that, right? Yeah. So that's how I got into it. It was by chance. Mm-hmm. A year later, Deborah died. But if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be talking today, right? She pushed me she saw something I didn't even see. So I always want to recognize her because I realized if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be here today.
I remember when you first told me this story that I said the corollary for me was podcast. Well, I had already started podcasting on my first podcast. They were all audio only. Mm-hmm. And I had someone very similar to her who kept saying, you have to do, it was Ben Boyd. And he does coaching for Olympic athletes and snowboarding. So he's just a badass. And he kept saying, you have to do video. You have to do video. I was like, I am not doing video. Seriously? Do you know when you do audio only, no makeup, nothing required, hair to ponytail, life is good.
Right.
I'm not doing video. And I just think, it just really transformed my love for talking to people and whatnot, because I just think you can capture so much more in video. But I was the same way. I was like, absolutely not. I am not doing that.
Right.
And finally I said, okay, fine, I'll do one. And then I did one, and it was game changer. So
I mean, she literally changed my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about, I was adamant, I'm not doing that. I just got the bees in the backyard. That's all I need.
I'm doing a garden.
I'm doing a garden. I'm just putting the bees out there. So it morphed into me. I sell bees. I sell honey. I sell queens. I got contracts with people paying me big money to manage their bees on golf courses, rooftops,
wineries,
family farms, wineries. I got bees at the airport. All because of her. Or she was the major influence, I should say, right? But that's how I got into it. And I never planned it. It just, everything happened. But when I look back on it, there's several things when I look back, I'm like, let me tell you what I realized about when my wife was a little upset. When I thought about it, after I think about it now, there's no woman that would have supported that. When you come home and say, you're going to do bees, goats, and chickens? That's how we're going to make it? And you barely do that? That's how we're going to make it? Right? There's really no woman that really would have supported that. Right?
Exactly.
And so I had to think about that. When I look at all the stuff that I've done, like when I first quit, or maybe a couple of weeks before or after, someone gave me a contract. Brooke, I can't think of her name, but her name is Brooke. I can't think of her last name right now. We had been working together in Junior Beekeepers, and she wanted to go back to Georgia Tech. Do you know her?
I don't think so.
So she works at Georgia Tech. So she was.
What did she do at Georgia Tech?
I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But here's what she was doing. She was doing what I was doing, what I do now. Okay. She managed bees for people.
Okay.
And she had been doing it for a while. And all of a sudden she was like, I think I'm getting ready to get married and I want to go back into the corporate world. I was like, are you crazy?
Right.
Why would you do that? She was already doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
So she was like, I got this contract. Do you want it? I was like, yeah. So she hands me my first contract. And then she hands me a second one. Ooh, okay. Right? And then she gets a job at Georgia Tech. And periodically people email her, are you still doing it? No, I don't do it. But here's Ed to take care of it. All of a sudden I got these contracts. Right? And it just morphed into what I do today. Yeah. It was handed to me. Or someone asked me, would I like it? Because I built that relationship with them. Yeah. Right? And then when I was going to the bee club, there's someone that said, hey, you guys should do bee removals. And at the time, this person was the person in the state doing it, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I'm going to try my hand at that. Next thing I know, I'm doing it. Make pretty good money doing it. So now I got Airbnb experiences. I sell honey. I'm doing bee removals. I got contracts. And now I bring all of that hospitality, right? Mm-hmm. That I've learned over the years. The book, Clients for Life.
Yeah.
Front and center. I take care of my people, right? I realize you're paying me great money to do what I do. I'm going to take care of you. Over the years, because I've been doing it full time now since 2022, I've only had one client I had to let go. But I knew in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't think this is a fit. She wanted to nickel and dime me on the price, right?
Oh, I love this. We've talked on this podcast several times about when it's right to, quote unquote, fire a customer. Mm-hmm. And this is an example.
She wanted to nickel and dime me on the price. But then after I agreed, and then as I started going, it was like, well, can you do this and can you do that? For that? That's what you want me to do? No, I think, so as time went on, I let her go. And then somebody else that I know ended up I said, let me tell you what she's going to do. And they let her go.
Yeah.
After that, I said, I'm telling you what she's going to do. But here's the deal. The people that pay me, my other clients, I go above and beyond for them.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it, right? And I can tell that they appreciate it, right? So it's not there's many things that I love about working for myself. I can set my own hours. I can make as much money as my body allows me to work, right? Mm-hmm. I just went to Copenhagen. I didn't have to tell anybody. I worked my butt off before I left. I went and I came back. Life was great. Nobody was calling me about an emergency, right? I didn't have to ask for PTO. I just did it, and I loved it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, but I want to talk about how we first met almost a year ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and you were one of the instructors for the Intro to Beekeeping class, February 1st of this past year, and I remember sitting there because I had already been researching bees for years and read a gazillion books, and I just already loved bees because I love the dynamics and relationship between bees and in a community. And I think there are so many leadership lessons and just life lessons about honeybees that just the scientist in me loves. And you were like, hey, I'll teach you how to do bees. You come work for me and I'll teach you this. You know what? And I thought, this is I'm going to check this out. And I remember the first time I went and I watched you because you're constantly getting new beekeepers. And then you have some that come repeatedly that are a little bit more experienced.
Right.
And the level of patience for some of those people, I'm a patient teacher. You know, I'm a professor at Emory and I do a lot of other things, and I think I'm patient, and I'm not as patient as what you are with some of these people. And I just remember watching that and just thinking, like, this is amazing because you're helping people learn a new, unique skill and learn about the relationship of these things and why these things are important. And you're really putting people on the spot in a healthy way, allowing them to learn how to think on their feet, and do all of these things. And there's like a special skill in that leadership ability to do that. So talk a little bit about how like you just decided to do that, because it also turned into a pretty brilliant business model too.
Well, people ask me all the time, like, how did you come up with that? Well, necessity, right? Because I'm a one-man show because I need to bring that money in for the wife and the kids, right?
Exactly.
So I can't have a staff. I got to bring that money home. So in the beginning, one day it's like 100 degrees out there, and I'm like, I need some help. And I said, at the time, Jimmy Gatt was the president. I was like, hey, if I send an email to Metro Atlanta Beekeepers saying, I know there are people out there that need to learn because I know how I learned.
Right.
But there was nobody offering this. I said, if I send an email saying, if you come to the class for 3 hours, the first hour and a half is you're helping me clean frames, move boxes, whatever I need,
Wax
paint
frames,
boxes,
put frames together,
all that stuff, right? Because you got to learn it somehow,
Exactly.
right? The second hour and a half, I'll put you in the bee suit. I have the bee suits for for Airbnb experiences, right? You don't. And for some people, they're like, you don't even have to buy the suit. No, I got it.
Right.
He was like, it sounds like a good idea to me. So I said, okay. So I sent the email, and in my mind, I said, well, maybe if I get 20 people over time, 5 will fall off, and that's exactly what happened, right? For whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
People overcommit. Maybe they don't like what I do, right? But let me tell you what I learned in the beginning. I have a graduating class. People tell me I would have never learned this without you.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
But when I first started, I was like, well, we're going to have some beer. I provided beer.
Oh, look at you. We haven't had any beer.
I know. Oh, God. Right? So I had beer.
I'm getting robbed.
I had water. I had soft drinks. And we're under the oak tree with the table, and we're cleaning frames. But we're drinking beer. We're just
chilling.
We're working, but we're doing it.
Right.
And then, so I did it a couple times. Then I was like, no, I need to get the work out of them.
Right.
We don't have time to sit here and drink beer. Right? So, then so people told me, they were like, oh man, this was great. So the second year, the first year it was about 15. The second year it was about 60 people, right? It morphed The same thing, you know, some people fall off. People tell me, you know, I would have never learned it without you. Some people still coming back, right? This year, right now, I got about 140 people on the list. I'm talking about new people from the first 2 classes, right? And the same thing. I tell them I'm going to send the information out. You do with it what you will, right? It's up to you. If you want to learn, here it is. Because I know for a fact, if somebody was offering that for free,
yes,
I would have been there every time.
Absolutely.
Every meeting, because I knew what I needed to learn. I wanted to learn something new, and it's free.
Right.
And and they always ask me, "You don't charge?" No. Right now, right?
I want to be grandfathered into when you start charging.
Right. So that's how I got into this whole thing. That's how I started the class. It's been eye-opening because, again, I got to read people.
Yeah.
Right? This person's sitting over here. She's not saying anything. Let me grab her in. Let me pull you in. Some people want to talk. All they want to do is talk, and it's all about them. I'm like, you need to, hold on.
It's not social hour.
This is not social hour. There are other people. And I had a couple people I was like, I mean, I'm not going to call names, but people would jump in. I'm like, no, I need you to stand back. This person they need to learn too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And I recognize that. I'm watching everybody, right? Because I want them to learn. And then I also tell people, I said, if you come here, you don't learn anything, that's on you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You need to ask questions. And sometimes I'm trying to get people to bring the full picture together. Some things I'm going to say in the beginning, when you first come, you're not going to understand. But by the time you end, because the class goes for a whole year, right? Because bees have seasons and you need to understand what to do during the season. That's why I do it for the year. By the time you finish, you should be able to bring everything together, right? But it's on your timeline, on your time clock. You got to read some. You need to listen. I tell people, go to the meetings. I learn a ton every meeting, right? It could be the smallest thing, right? But at some point, you're going to bring it together. I go to the conferences.
That's what I was about to say. I love the conventions and the conferences and
I
stuff
go there
too,
and I learn something.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I bring it all together. I just went to a worldwide bee thing and I'm like, oh, right? I met the top bee people in the country sitting in the lobby drinking beer at 1:00 in the morning, right? He walks in like 10 to 10. The restaurant is about to close. James Winkler and I are sitting down having dinner. Cayman walks in at a World Bee Conference. Nobody recognizes him. I'm like, hey, Cayman, come over here, have a beer, let's talk. Right? He never met these 2 black guys before, right? He couldn't order food, but they allowed him to drink, to buy some beer. We give him our appetizer. This is one of the top 3 people in the country as far as bees are concerned right now.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
We sitting down, we talked to him for about an hour and a half. Who knew? So I'm like, well, since you're sitting there, I got to ask you. I need you to be our guest speaker in
Metro Atlanta.
In Metro Atlanta. He was like, I said, what's the best time? He said February. He said, let's lock it in.
Score.
We locked it in. I'm talking about just like that. Then I meet Tucker Bee and some other people because of the network. So now I'm talking to at least 3 or 4 other people that have a national presence in bees over beer. And then, so we're at Apimondia in Copenhagen, Denmark. The president of Apimondia walks in, and now it's Cayman, who's the top guy in the United States, Apimondia president worldwide, Tucker Bee. And I'm like, look at this, right? Just from networking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool to see, right? But I learned a lot on a worldwide basis. And that's just because I'm talking to people, I'm networking, I treat people like I want to be treated.
That's what I was just about to say, because one of the things I love about you is that you never talk down to people, and you always, I see you even at the conferences going up to places and you show up to people with a spirit of curiosity.
Right.
Like, tell me more. Tell me what this is. What do I use this for or whatnot? Instead of a lecturing or, some type of
because I'm still learning.
Exactly.
Right? I'm a certified beekeeper. my ultimate goal is to become a master beekeeper. But because I have my hands in so many things right now, it's all about, I got to sit down and study, right?
Yes.
And sometimes after a long day, when it's 90,
It's hard
100,
to do. Yeah.
it is hard to do. At this age, I'm 60. Well, I'll be 60 in a couple months, right? So I'm not that young Edward anymore. And I recognize that. And then the other thing is, after a long day, I'm like, I need a beer. Right? But real quick, let me tell you this. Doing this has allowed me to do a lot of different things. So I've done music. I put bees on people's face for music videos. This week, I did a public service announcement for Parkinson's disease.
Oh, wow.
They flew this guy in from Virginia. He's a beekeeper, but he has the shakes, and they wanted to film him handling bees with shakes. But they also filmed someone, because supposedly Parkinson's is debilitating, and over a period of time you can't travel as much. But there's somebody who travels quite a bit. He's like, I'm not going to let this get me down. They had somebody who's doing cooking. So this week I did that. I volunteer at one school under Metro Atlanta Beekeepers. We harvested honey this year. We got it on TV. But I also did another public school where they pay me, right? So I got my hands on a lot of different things. No day is the same. Every day is different. And it's whatever. When people call me, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, right? Julia called me this week. She's like, I want to know if you can help with this prison program to teach people how to make money in bees, because that's your thing. It's the president of the Georgia Beekeepers Association. We've worked together on other projects.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Anytime she asks me to do something, I do it.
And I love those prison programs because I remember at the convention, the head person for the judges, and he was talking about when he was incarcerated, and that's when he learned beekeeping.
Right.
And I interviewed a episode that just came out recently, Brian Rowe. We talk about his experience being incarcerated and the leadership lessons he learned while he was in prison.
Right.
And we've also talked to him later about the challenges that we have, that we don't teach these new skills to help them come out.
Right.
And there's actually a study, because we're hiring for a new position at Emory in entrepreneurship. And one of the individuals applying for it was talking about a study that was done in Texas prisons on when you teach within certain age brackets entrepreneurship, the level, I never say it correctly, but recidization, where they come back, is so much less if you teach this. So I love this is beekeeping within the prison systems and this business model component of it. So teach them that, and then when they come out, they can start.
So I'm going to show them you can sell bees, you can sell honey. Some of them may have family land. You never know, right?
Right.
You could put 100 beehives on it, and you don't have to interact with anybody, right? You can do pollination. You can do rooftop bees. You can do farms. You can just sell bees and not interact with anybody, just for the person who wants to buy bees, right?
Right.
It's the limit. It's unlimited on what you can do, right? So yeah, Julie wants me to do it. I was like, yeah, I'll do. She's like, I like working with you. I said, you're the top person. We're gonna do whatever you want to do, right? But let me also say this. So, guess what I'm doing this year? I'm going to, I got a lot of different projects, but I want to say this before we end. I'm going to Orlando for Christmas.
Are you going to Disney?
We're staying on the property at Disney for Christmas.
Oh, look at you.
But look at where I started.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm staying with we're staying at a resort on Disney property from for a whole week for Christmas. But remember, there was a time period, I was like, well, what is that? Right? I'm going to have my two sons, my wife, and we're going to enjoy each other. Because what I've learned over the years is, so I'm 60, right? I'll be 60 in a couple months. And people always ask me, well, how much are you going to expand? So I'm like, I have a part-time employee, but there's only so much I can expand, right? Because I got a couple things going on in my head. I don't want to work the rest of my life. I started off as a paper boy. I was 11, 12, and I've been working ever since. So I'm 2 years from retirement. But I got a full-fledged bee business going over here. And I went to a conference one time, and this guy said, at one point he had 5,000 hives. He said, I never saw my wife, I never saw my kids, and I didn't know how much money I was making. And he had to readjust. He brought it down to 2,000. He said, now I see my wife. I know how much money I'm making. I make more money now than I ever did. Right. And I get to see my kids. So I'm always battling that. It's like, okay, you're 2 years from retirement. I got a part-time employee, but I don't want to work the rest of my life. What I see is 1 week I'm pulling bees out of somebody's house, and the next week I'm going to be in Paris, right? I'm going to come back the third week. I may be pulling bees out of a building, and the next week I may be in California when I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't have to, because we've set ourselves up that we don't have to work anymore. But I don't want to give up the bees because, again, I'm talking to people, and a lot of people who retired, they have absolutely nothing to do.
Exactly. And they go downhill really quickly.
Right.
Yes.
I got a full-fledged bee business, but I can pace it and do it when I want to do it.
Yeah, and you can downsize as you want. And there's such a therapeutic experience with bees as well. So when you're able to just do it in the level that you want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm going to, I'm not boasting about that. There was a time period I didn't even know that existed.
Exactly.
And that I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy life a little bit too. And so when my kids were growing up, we didn't take a whole lot of vacations because you know what I was doing on my vacation? I have had a catering business. I was always trying to make some extra money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was working most of the time. And I told my kids at a certain point, I was like, you know what? We're going to take 2 vacations a year. And I'm going to pay for it, right? And so we're going to, actually, we're going to the Cowboys game this year.
Oh, look at you.
So we're going to be in Dallas for a couple of days. And then we're going to be in Orlando for a week.
Yeah.
Enjoying life.
Yeah, that is so important. I know that after my kidnapping, I took all these years and didn't take any vacation. So my very first vacation will be this December. I'm going to Thailand for 3 weeks. So I might not make it to bee class in December. We'll see, depending on what the schedule works out. But yeah, I'm gonna go and do some. I'm gonna take cooking classes and do some hiking and canoeing and kayaking. All the things because life is way too short.
I know, because I've had friends over the last couple of years pass away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that's why I'm like, I've never had a big birthday party for the 30, 40, 50. I'm having one next year, right? I already told my wife we're going to have a birthday party. She was surprised. You want a birthday party? Yeah. I might die the following day. I don't know. Right? But all I know is that's what I want to do. And, but I'm looking at it. I want to enjoy life more now because I see different things. I don't want to work myself to death, but I want to stay busy, right? I want to do what I want to do, and I want to do what someone tells me to do. I've done that, and I never really liked it.
So what would you say if I were to think about rapid fire questions? What would you tell the person who feels like they're stuck in a job right now and they feel like they have no choice? What would you tell them?
Oh, you need to look deep. You need to. You can find something, but you got to figure out what it is, right? Maybe you need to network and someone can, Deborah showed me, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about bees. I mean, I had bees, but not on the scale that I'm at now, right? Maybe you need to change your friends. You need to read something and dig deep and figure out what it is. But there's an answer. And what I've learned over the years, there's always a solution, but you got to dig deep for it. I've learned that you gotta broaden your horizons and you gotta dig deep until you find it. When you find it, you're like, this is it. That's why when I quit, I was like, I'm not going back to work. I don't care what they say or what you think. I'm not going back to work. And most people cannot do that.
Right.
I've had to tell my manager, I'm not doing that. And you do whatever you want. And what I learned in the business world is, over time, because remember, there was a time I didn't know what to say. Nobody taught me that. I had to figure it out. Well, you know what I realized? the only thing they can do is fire me.
Right.
That's all you can do.
Exactly.
And you know what I said a couple of times? And I'm going to collect unemployment. And once I figured out, you couldn't tell. If I didn't agree with it, I wasn't doing it. But for that person, you got to dig deep. You got to figure out, you got to dig deep in you and know what your capabilities are, what your skills are, and stretch yourself. I've been stretched, right? And I know that. But it was, some things were good, some things were bad. But I bring it all together. And now I look at it, I'm like, if I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't have to, right? And sometimes, but it all boils down to people, right? It all boils down to people. Let me say this one other thing. A friend of mine said, you have control issues. I said, no, I don't. He's like, yeah, you do. He was like, you've been doing that Airbnb. Here's what he says to me. You've been doing that Airbnb. So if you go on the site right now, I have like 495 reviews. I've done every one of them. He said, you should have handed that off years ago to somebody else. I said, no, because when you go on there, I have a 4.98 rating, and I'm not handing that off to anybody to drop it to a 2.
Right.
I built that from the ground
Never
up.
outsource your core competencies, which is customer excellence.
Exactly. Right. I said, I'm not doing that. I built that. I know I built that with God's help. Right. And I'm not handing that off to anybody that's not ready. Right. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And I'll continue to do it. But I'll do it when I want to do it. Right. Right. Because keep in mind, I'll be 60. I can do it once a week. I can do it. I haven't done it in 4 months.
That's the thing about beekeeping. You can actually do beekeeping until you're really
can do it
old in life.
You can do it until you're 80. Yeah. I know. So Don the Fat Bee Man, after I figured out he's one of the people that I trained, he's like 83. Yep. He's been beekeeping for 60 years, right? He has the aches and pains, but he still goes out there, right? And I look at it, I'm like, I could do it when I'm old. Yeah. At my pace, when I want to do it, right? And that's what I love about it, right? I can do it when I want to do it.
I love this. I love this. Well, thank you for taking a couple hours off of beekeeping to share your story with us, because I love this story. I think it's so motivational. And just all the different pivots and the stage where you just said, I'm going to take control. And I like being a control freak in that instance is exactly what we should be. We should be a control freak of our life. Right. You know, we have merchandise that we're working to push off with the Be Brave, because Be Brave, Be Badass was just trademarked. And one of the items is, I want to be the CEO of my own damn life. And it's exactly that. That's what I do. Be the CEO of our own damn life.
I am. But it works for me. Exactly. But I realize it's not for everybody, right? My wife has to stay in corporate America. She loves it. She thrives there. Let her stay there.
But that's still her being the CEO of her life, because she's deciding what she loves and choosing that as a choice. I see people that just aren't making choices. They're just staying where they were placed.
A lot of people do that. And I see it all the time. Because depending on where I am, I'm looking around, I'm like, you don't have to do this, right? Right? You don't have to. Or you don't have to take that. Right. But they don't recognize that. And I've even tried to tell people, and I'm like, oh, they don't recognize it. I'm only going to say so much, because you're not getting it. And I'm not going to beat it over your head.
Exactly.
You have to figure it out. Right? You.
Yeah. So if the listeners remember nothing else from this episode, what do you want to make sure they take away?
Work hard, dig deep. If you're not comfortable in what you're doing, figure it out. There is a solution. It's going to stretch you. And I didn't listen to my friends. If I was listening to my friends, we wouldn't be talking.
No.
Right? Right? But I mean, Deborah, right? She was a friend, but someone who's not going to push you, right? Don't just stay in that seat and just be comfortable. I could have stayed there, right? But I was pushed. I was pushed in corporate America, good or bad. There were times I was pushed, and it stretched me, right? But don't just sit there. If you don't like what you're doing, then make a change. You have to do it, but you got to dig deep for it. Nobody's going to give it to you. Nobody's going to give it to you.
Amazing. Well, thank you for absolutely putting a lot of badass into this episode. I'm really grateful. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of the Badass Leaders Podcast. To hear more interviews with industry experts and learn how to grow your career and leadership potential, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to ensure you do not miss future episodes. This podcast is a production of the AGN Group. To learn more about the AGN Group, visit our website at theagnGroup.com. There, you can discover more about our services, which include hosting workshops, management consulting, brand strategy, keynote speaking, and more. Follow us on all social media channels shown on the screen and displayed in the show notes. And until next week, be brave and be badass.